All right, welcome back to the Breadcrumbs Project. And that is a picture of yours truly taken not too long ago at the very famous Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. Now, uh, and it's a national treasure. It's it is a problem for me to say that this is Roman because the Spaniards treat Santiago de Compostela the same way the Egyptians treat the pyramids and the Giza Plateau. That there was another civilization that was here, we did this. And that's basically the same thing that Europe says about all their treasured ancient buildings made of stone, that we did this. Nobody else helped us. We did it on our own. We can tell you who for the Cathedral of Santiago, they'll tell you Master Matthew did it. Not really his last name, not even his lineage, just mention his name and roll on forward. Make a movie about him, completely made up, and then it's doctrine. So to say that this is an uphill battle, my theory, it is the uphill battles of uphill battles. But an archaeologist can't help what he sees. And oftentimes archaeology is is in disagrees with written history. Archaeology often disagrees with written history. Archaeologists have to be trained and squeezed into a frame that makes the archaeology they find fit into the modern narrative. And as we've gone through the episodes, we've come to see that the modern narrative of history, especially in the West, has been put forward by and established by the Roman Catholic Church. That's who created the university systems. That's who educated the elite children. If you had money in Europe, your children went to a monastery, whether it's nuns or monks. But you're going to be taught by the church. And then everybody else was basically in the field or on a boat. So, yeah. Uh, in Spain, I know that my grandparents were in a small school taught by a local man. And then often they would have new people come in who were taught by the education system of the Roman Catholic Church. So they established the narrative that we are currently working off of. I am breaking that narrative in a very big way because this church could not have been built in the Renaissance, medieval times, uh, the Golden Age, whenever you say, because the Spanish history as we know it is quite clear. It could be off, but this is how it goes. And especially my area where I live here, I'm going to focus in on Galicia because I have archaeology that proves that Galicia was in fact Celtic. And you can go back to prior episodes, but I have pottery shards from a very unique process of burial, which is attributed to the Celtic people, and that is take an urn, a jar with the ashes of the person that had passed away, and then put them face down so that the ashes go into the ground, and that's where the gods are in the ground, and then sometimes under the water. So this was Celtic, and then I have maps that I can say when the Romans, not a time, not a time frame, but when the Romans came in to the Celtic area. I have a map that has the first Roman settlements here. And my area where I live, Mushia, on the oldest maps is called Grandi Medium, a grand vision, and Tamara, uh, which is ancient Greek. The Greeks were here, and they call this the sea. This is a place that you want to see. Grandi Medium, Grandi, you already know it's big. Grandi Medium, Medium is a vision. So there is a beautiful grand vision here that the sailors talk about, obviously. And then all the settlements around are not do not have a combative feel about them. They're not called forts. They're not called, uh, you know, destruction of the Celts or anything like that. What I see is a slow colonization here. A slow colonization, probably bringing economy, uh, buying goods, and working with the local tribes, and then slowly expanding with the law, because we can see in the archaeology that the Celts were roundhouse people living in small villages, small communal villages, and if you see the Roman buildings, especially in Santiago, well, they're gorgeous. So yeah, I can see where the Celts would want to participate with the Romans, seeing their boats, seeing their grand buildings as they create them. So I don't see the war stories that they tell us of the Carthaginians, of all that. I think a lot of that is just made up because wherever you go, wherever you see architecture like this, grand cathedrals, grand downtowns, old downtowns of big cities, all through the Americas, Brazil, Paraguay, all throughout the Americas. You have grand cathedrals, grand churches, and grand central squares of buildings made of stone. Washington, D.C. is a perfect example. Washington, D.C. is a perfect example. Washington, D.C. was already there when our experiment started up some 250 years ago. Okay. Why do I say, using their own history, to say why these massive, gorgeous buildings weren't built in medieval Spain? Because after the Romans left the Iberian Peninsula, 500 AD or so, then came other tribes um, from the Baltic Plain areas, uh, um, north of Germany and around Germany, the Visigoths, the Suevos. They came to uh, the Iberian Peninsula to be the rulers. And as tradition has it, the Romans were paying the Visigoths to do that. We're thinking in the Eastern Romans, but no, it's the Western Romans. Clearly, the Western Romans had left, brought in these tribes to manage and suppress and keep the people down on the Iberian Peninsula. And then enters the Dark Ages, and everything is burned. And uh, I think generations were made to forget what actually happened here. That's what the Dark Ages is all about. Make generations forget what happened and how these were built. And then comes in the new Roman Catholic Church spinning a new story. Oh yeah, yeah, this Roman Catholic cathedral, Romanesque. They'd see all of our Roman buildings here are Romanesque. They are still looking for the old style Roman that we look see in our books, the villas and such. No, by the time the Romans got here, they were already building massive, beautiful cities and cathedrals. Look up and down Italy. Look throughout the Mediterranean. So no, by the time they got here, they were amazing builders, amazing engineers. So when they went, as I say, to populate Latin America, get away from the mess that was happening over here, scrubbing the history, and then reissuing a new history, uh, Europe was in the Dark Ages, then medieval, and after the Romans left, Spain was at war because the Muslim tribes of the south um, of the North Africa started to slowly not invade but colonize the deserted cities of South Spain, and it's desert land and always has been, as far as I can tell. So the Muslims were better accommodated in those lands than us in the north of Spain because we're green, cold, and hardy up here. We're a different country. We're a different world. North Spain, South Spain. So south of Spain is desert. North of Spain is lush and green. So as the Muslims, the Visigoths came in, they did their damage, and then right after that, we went to war with the Moors, the Muslims, and we were at war all the way up till 1490, 91, 92, around there. And then after that, supposedly, well, no, it's on the map. Uh, uh, Columbus detected Columbus detected the Antilles. Antilli detectar per Christium Columbrum. Christophum Columbrum. Annual 1492. And when Columbus discovered the New World, well, everybody was getting on ships to colonize and extract the wealth of the New World. So Spain was depopulated. Spain was depopulated with war. Spain was depopulated with their colonization campaign. Yep. Thank you, little box. My little box agrees. So there was no time, talent, or money to build these cathedrals, these massive stone towns. The only people that had the talent or money to do that were the Latins. So, yep. And it's all over the world. It is all over the world. You go to any great city. Let's see if I can pull one up. And let's see. Brazil capital city. And images. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, they're not showing me. All right. There we are. That's what I'm looking for. Sorry, guys. So I'll bring the whole page over. Um, so yeah, you look at the architecture, Salvador. You look at that, and now that you know what you're looking at, Salvador, Brazil, old city in the new world. There was nobody in Brazil that had the time or talent to do this. And it took a long time for um, the Spanish, French, and British to colonize the Americas. And when they got to the cities, I don't know if they were empty, I don't know if they had indigenous people, but these buildings were there. And that's what the Freemasons were created for. Freemason in French is franc maçon, which basically translates to free house. So, in the times of creation of the Freemasons, it's got to be by the Romans and by the Roman Catholic Church, maintained by the Roman Catholic Church. Um, they were able, through their management of secrets, to be able to convince new arrivals. Oh yeah, no, this has always been here. This has been here. I don't know. My grandfather helped build it. So and so yeah, that's where the Freemasons come into history, the hard history. This is the big secret. So this is Brazil. You look at it; it's completely Roman, not Romanesque, Roman. And they're, again, with all of these buildings, the most important thing is they give you a modern date, 1800s, 1700s, you know, uh, well after 1492, but pre industrial revolution. Big fire happened and they rebuilt it. There's always a big fire that happened. And I know big fires happened because the Latins were retreating to where, I don't know. My best guess is their last place here was California because it took the Easterners a good time to reach there, and I think by the time they got there, they went where they went. I don't know, but they were able to build out all of the Americas with these glorious, glorious buildings, including Washington D.C. Uh, let's see, Athena in America. Yeah, the Parthenon in Nashville. This is in Nashville, people. The Parthenon in Nashville. This I stumbled across by accident. I mean, this should be front page news, talking about it all the time, and just wow, where did this come from? Who built this? Again, classic fashion, classic Roman style, angel in hand, and she's a giant. She is a giant, bathing cold. Who built this in Christian America? Who built it? What famous man, woman, family paid for it, and who had the time and talent to build this statuary in gold and arches and the engineering alone to build this. First of all, to design it, the architect had to design it, and then the engineer had to engineer it, and then the builder had to build it. That's a lot of people. There would be stories. Oh yeah, my grandfather, because it couldn't have been that long ago. It had to be when uh, the American Revolution happened, 1776 to today, which is 250 years. Within that time frame, there should be living memory of who built this, and there isn't. Not only that, it is not advertised. Yeah, it's breathtaking. Look at the size of that. Who in America had the time, the mind, and the ability to do this? Now, the other thing I can pretty much guarantee is that the headdress is hiding an elongated skull. Oh, and she has blue eyes too, by the way. So I bet you a dime to donut that the the headdress is hiding a skull. So Parthenon in Nashville. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. A perfect Parthenon. The Parthenon in Nashville is the world's only exact and detailed replica of the original temple in Athens, Greece. When Tennessee celebrated its 100th year of statehood with the Tennessee Centennial Exposition, Nashville took advantage of its nickname. And by the way, a lot of these buildings are built during expositions and celebrations. But listen to this. Nashville took advantage of its nickname Athens of the South and built a fine art building as a copy of Athens' most famous building, the epitome of Greek classical architecture. No, it's not Greek, it's Roman. If it was in Greece, but it was all an Roman Empire by the time they were building these things, okay? This is Roman style. And they just confuse you to keep you off balance. But if you're from the South, if you're from America, and you know anything about the South 100 years ago, there's no money, no time, and no talent to build anything like this. Nope. Yeah, there's no way you can convince me. Okay, there is no way you can convince me that this was built back then. There just isn't. So yeah, that is something to think about today. And thank you for watching. And we will catch you next time on the Breadcrumbs Project. This is the map that broke it all. And The maps continue to tell their story. All right. Thank y'all so much. It's a wild theory, but it's real and it's good stuff. We'll catch you next